Hey, it's Scott from Family Wheels with another car review for your growing family, and this is the Mazda 3 Sport GT. It's the hatchback version of Mazda's very successful Model 3, but this guy, the 2019, has something special added that makes this quite an interesting car, and that is Mazda have added for the very first time all-wheel drive. Now, a while back, I tested Mazda's CX-3 crossover, and a lot of people commented that they were going to pass on that model specifically to hold off and wait for this guy because of that all-wheel drive system. And I think that's great. All-wheel drive is a wonderful thing to have if you have an active, growing family. But what about the rest of the car? How roomy is it? How does it drive? How does the infotainment system work? How much does it cost? Basically, does all the rest of it, plus that all-wheel drive, add up to the right car for you and your growing family? There's only one way to find out. Let's go put it through its paces. It's the 2019 Mazda 3 Sport GT all-wheel drive this week on Family Wheels. So if you're kicking tires on a Mazda 3, other things you might be looking at: Hyundai Elantra, Ford Focus, obviously a Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla. There's tons of them. Much like the crossover segment, this is a very crowded part of the market. That said, though, the 3 is a serious contender within it. The car is available as a hatchback, that's the Sport, like we have here, or as a sedan. But for the purposes of this review, we'll be focusing on this guy, the 3 Sport hatchback version. It's been around since 2003 and has done quite well for Mazda throughout its lifetime. This model, the 2019, is the 4th generation of the car, and like I mentioned off the top, it's the first time you can get it with all-wheel drive, which is a real game changer in the segment. In my mind, it takes the car from being a little gas miser commuter to a serious do-anything compact family hauler. Of course, it does mean you'll spend more both upfront and on gas, but to me, it's worth it for the added drivability and confidence that it brings. The 3 is available with 2 different engine options, a 2-liter or a 2.5-liter, and you can get it with a 6-speed auto or a 6-speed manual, and of course front wheel or all-wheel drive. These options are grouped together in some cases. For example, if you do want that all-wheel drive, you have to take the automatic and the bigger motor. This is the configuration that we're in, and it comes with 186 horsepower and 186 foot-pounds of torque, compared to the smaller engine's 155 horsepower and 150 foot-pounds. Mazda say to expect 8.7 liters for 100 kilometers combined city and highway. In our real-world testing, we saw more like 9.5 liters for 100 kilometers, which is about 24.5 US miles per gallon, which I'm actually quite happy with for an all-wheel driver. The 3 Sport starts as low as 21,300 Canadian, with our tested model here fully kitted out coming in at just over 33,000 Canadian, and again, that is with the all-wheel drive. So the first thing that you notice as soon as you get into the 3 is the interior. Like other Mazda products that we've tested, the fit and finish is excellent, and this particular model has this awesome like red maroonish color leather that just really pops. Everybody that I had in the car over the week commented on the interior and how nice it is. Again, like other Mazda products, everything is just really clean. I love the dash, the infotainment system too. Well, we'll get into that in a bit. I like just the layout, how the screen is set back. Everything is just nice and clean. The seats are comfortable, and like I said, fit and finish really on point. Nicely done. Everything is well within reach, and the seats are definitely comfortable. Again, like previous Mazda products, to me, it feels like you're in a vehicle that probably cost a lot more than you actually paid for it. If you're like me, you spend a lot of time in your car, so it should be a place that you enjoy being in, and Mazda have really achieved that here. There are, of course, some perks about it that I don't love. For example, the center console layout and storage kind of bug me. There are 2 cup holders, but for me they're too far forward and it's too much of a reach to get them. There's also a storage compartment in front of them, but because of the way things are laid out, reaching it is almost impossible if you have drinks in the cup holders. You can cover them up though, which is a nice feature. There's more storage under the armrest as well, and I do like how the armrest raises and slides back and forth. When it's all the way forward, it adds to the clean and low profile look of the interior. Other available options include things like a power moonroof, heated seats and steering wheel, awesome Bose audio system, a proximity key, one-touch window controls, which are also awesome, and a 10-way power driver's seat, which is great, very comfortable and supportive. Now, for the infotainment system, I'll admit that I'm not the hugest fan of what Mazda have been doing lately. They use this click wheel system as opposed to tactile buttons up in the dash. They call it the human machine interface, or HMI, which essentially means that this is the way that you, the human, interface or communicate with the car. It works, and I did mention last time I tested out a Mazda, the CX-5 from last week, that once you get used to it, it does the job of keeping your eyes on the road fairly well. But I just find that it's a bit slower than a traditional system. Like, once you get used to it, you still take several clicks and scrolls to get to where you want to be, as opposed to just touching the screen with what you need. Also, the screen in this model is set back a little bit from the dash. You can see it's kind of like set into the dash as opposed to further up. But I will say that for this model, everything is better than any other Mazda that I've been in. Like, everything is just cleaner. I like the look of it more. The look of the screen is higher tech than it's been in other Mazda products that I've tested. Same goes with the dash. Very clean and just looks like a dash, as I've commented before in other Mazda products. I like that. Steering wheel controls all work fantastic as well. And it's worth noting that Android Auto and Apple CarPlay come standard. Drive-wise, the 3 is pretty great. It feels light and nimble. I mean, it is a small car, so it's definitely easy to handle, especially in a big city. It's not crazy powerful or anything, but it's got plenty of pep for the job. It's a fun car to drive. It handles well and is really nimble. This model with the automatic transmission does have a sport switch, but I didn't really find it to make much of a noticeable difference. The car goes well enough either way. It's quite fun in the twisties too and feels well planted. Knowing that it's all-wheel drive does inspire you to push it a little harder through the corners as well, and it shows no signs of letting up whatsoever. Mazda used this system called G-vectoring control, which kind of means it transfers load around the car and reduces the need for slight steering corrections, which in turn translates into a smoother ride and better handling in all conditions. The steering feel is tight and responsive, and it's still a really comfortable ride while fun enough to make your daily commute interesting. Though remember again, we do have about 30 more horsepower here in this model than you would in the base 3 Sport. In our standardized testing, the 3, it can hold its own. It's a compact car, so you shouldn't expect it to be huge inside, but in our rear-facing car seat test, we got respectable numbers, 25 inches from the back of the front passenger seat to the glove box, which is good for a car of this size. Installing that rear seat is easy with removable latch covers, which is also a definite plus. Our standardized trunk test was also no problem for the 3, easily handling a stroller, diaper bag, camera bag, 2 bags of groceries, and a soccer ball, all while still allowing us to leave the privacy cover in place. Need more room, you can remove this guy, or of course, fold the seats flat. Decibel test, we averaged 58 decibels at 100 kilometers an hour on dry roads, which is quite quiet. And finally, the all-important look-back test. I think this thing is an easy pass. Again, like previous Mazdas, I just love the cleanliness of it all. Not too many colors or detailed lines in the trim. It's just nice and subtle. I love the lights. I think they look awesome and very futuristic. The 18-inch wheels on the GT line trim look great too, especially in black, and I got a few really nice comments on the color of the car. It sits nicely and is really just a cool looking ride, I think. I'm sure I'd be looking back after parking and walking away more often than not. So all in all, I think the 3 is probably a great little family hatchback. I've talked before about how I think Mazda are really upping their game in terms of design. Just the looks in general and the lines on this car are really great. I love the headlights, I love the front grille. It's just nice and sleek. The interior is excellent as well, as have been other recent Mazda products that we've tested, and of those, this one's the nicest of the bunch. Super just sleek and clean and just nice to be in on a daily basis. Now, let's remember though, this is not a huge car. This is just a hatchback. So if your family's on the larger side, this might not be enough for you. And of course, I'm not a huge fan of that infotainment system with the click wheel. But if you can live with those things, I think this is probably a great option for a small family. Plus, I can't overstate how much I love that it has all-wheel drive. That's just a fantastic thing to have in a family hauler, even if it's just a little one. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, give us a like or a subscribe or comment. I would love to hear from you. For Family Wheels, I'm Scott.